Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Mehmet.
I'm Joe.
And we are the UFO Bros. And we're coming at you live from the facility. The facility. Don't mind Joe. He just decided to have some nuts right now. So you may be hearing nuts in his mouth while he's talking. So just be cautious what you may hear.
Energy trail mix.
Oh, wow. Can you get on the microphone? Like, it's not snack time, you know? I'm like, we're like a minute into our show, and you're like, I'm going to have me some nuts. I'm going to have me a soda. I'm like, we got a special guest on tonight, man. Aren't you excited?
I'm really excited.
I know you are. We've got, by the way, who I have actually been following Jeremy for a while, and I first was introduced to him by watching one of his amazing films called Lazar, Cosmic Whistleblower, because I am a huge Bob Lazar fan. Mm-hmm. And so that's actually what led me into learning about Jeremy. And then, of course, just more and more, investigations and seeing who is saying what in the UFO community. He he doesn't go away. But I mean that in a good way. He's making his way up, and he's got a lot of great information to share. So I'm excited to have him on the show and ask him all about his journeys and get his thoughts on this crazy UFO phenomenon. So that's going to be super fun. For anybody that's listening live, make sure you join us in the chat room. We are there taking any questions that you might have about Mr. Jeremy Corbell. At Jeremy Corbell, by the way, on Twitter and on Instagram. I want to make sure I'm getting that right. So, Joe, I saw you getting the car ready.
Yeah.
Is it fixed?
Almost.
Are we going to have any blowouts or explosions on our way to Joshua Tree?
I think we got pre-explosions for this one. No, it's just
stuff.
Unnecessary mess of things that went wrong. We're not supposed to.
Okay. Are you here? Hi.
Yeah, I'm here. Hi.
Welcome to the show, Joe. How are you today? Okay, I just wanted to make sure I get it right. It is Jeremy Corbell. That's with 2 L's on both Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you're following. And we're going to bring him on the show here in just a minute. And we'll obviously have him, give us more information. But before we get to Jeremy, who is listening, by the way, so watch what you say, Joe.
I don't know. For?
Because you're the one eating nuts.
Can we get on with it?
Yes, we can. So, by the way, as everybody knows, because I know we haven't said it yet, but, we're going to Contact in the Desert.
Very, very excited for this one.
And you sound excited, Joe. Try that again.
I am excited.
Okay, good. We spent a good deal of our day today actually looking at some of the UFOs.
Oh, yeah.
That they see there at night under night vision. And they use laser pointers. And I was like, So I'm interested to go.
No night vision.
What?
No night vision.
They were using night vision.
No, we don't have any.
No, we don't. We can't afford that. I was excited to hopefully maybe get a pair of night vision binoculars on Amazon for $19 until I realized that's not what they were. So, with that being said, we're excited to see. Maybe we'll have an encounter. Maybe we'll finally have our paranormal experience. I'll tell you, we got somebody on Twitter that seems to think that we are.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's kind of like interesting / creepy.
They're on their way, by the way.
Yeah, by the way. So, and yeah, we're like, his name is Lime Chillo. Super fantastic Twitter name. He says, go to the desert. You'll find what you're looking for. They have sent a ship. I don't care who you are. When somebody tweets that to you, you're like, oh, that's freaking awesome. And then you're like, that's terrifying. What? I don't want that to happen. I don't want a ship sent for me. If anybody out there is sending ships, please do it in a somewhat lit residential area where Joe and I feel safe and comfortable and not popping out of trees and bushes. How does that sound? Okay, yeah. That's the kind of paranormal experience we want with other people. Not alone, right?
Yeah.
And, talking of like paranormal experiences in general, I'm excited to talk to Jeremy about what he thinks, how the UFO phenomenon is connected with just this overall sort of paranormal phenomenon that we've kind of talked about several times. But it'll be cool to get his take on that because I know, he's mentioned it before, so that'll be super cool. We have Brianna in the chat room. And she says that she was one of the lucky ones to witness last year's massive sighting at Contact in the Desert, which, we talked a little bit about that. Yeah. And I watched the footage and I'm like, what is that? I mean, some of these things, like they fly in formation, they change direction. I mean, I don't know that satellites do that. So, I mean, just using common sense thinking, I don't think that's a satellite, but it's something. Are you
like
with
everything
me?
It's just
Hi, welcome to the microphone and moving your face towards it. Move it. Come on. Just a little. Like another inch. There we go. All right. We almost have Jeremy time, Joe.
Well,
Are you
let's get him
excited
on.
We were going to, but Alien on Board popped in and said, yay.
Hey, guys.
Look, our 2 fans are online. Thank you all so much. They love us. They really love us. Real quick, because when we start chatting with Jeremy, we're going to have a nonstop Fabulous Fest. So I want to just do a few shout-outs on social media. Joe, Don Hyde's been giving us retweets. Nicole Dome, I think, or Dome, something. Joe, you should read them in character voices.
We got Joshua Fair, Martin Master, Alien on Board, Christopher Wilford.
I think Ozzy should read us some of our social media followers. Come on.
I'm leaving. I'll get Ozzy. Fucking channel, man. Okay, Craig Fraud. This fucking guy is a long channel. He's on anything. Okay. The hell of the fucking channel, man.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
thing,
Ozzy. Sharon, please come take him away. Well, thank you to those last people that were mumbled out for following us and actually, supporting us because we really have no idea what we're doing, but we're having a great time. We're having a great time.
Like making a pizza. Just put a bunch of shit together.
Just put a bunch of shit on it, and maybe it comes out round. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Hopefully the crust is
alien crust. Alien crust.
Okay, now we're talking about nothing. So
let's
it's
get him
definitely
time.
Absolutely time to bring somebody of the correct maturity and mind frame to maybe help us talk about this subject for once. So what I'd like to do is stop the music and just have a huge audience round of applause for Mr. Jeremy Corbell, who we are inviting on right now. Everybody, welcome. Hey, Jeremy, are you there?
I am. How you doing?
We're doing pretty good, man. Thanks for joining us and taking time out of your busy schedule to chat with Joe and I. And we kind of have a weird or different way of doing things, but we do enjoy it. So thank you.
It's nice. Yeah, it's nice to meet you, Emmett, Joe. And I appreciate what you guys are doing. Humor can shed a light on very uncomfortable subjects. Famous comedians like Bill Hicks, George Carlin, Richard Pryor, they all did this. So humor is a great vehicle for capturing minds, and I appreciate what you're doing.
Great, man. Hey, look, see, I told you, if we brought on somebody intelligent, they would validate, what we're doing here in some way. So thank you for that, Jeremy.
I appreciate it.
When I was kind of learning about you, going through your information, I thought it was awesome to see that you have a martial arts background. And, those are some huge accomplishments. I thought maybe you'd take a minute and just kind of tell us, about your martial arts journey. Not
Sure.
journey,
I
but
mean,
in
I
a
was-
snapshot, like what you've been able to accomplish.
Yeah. The snapshot is a lot of punches to the head and throwing people around, but essentially jujitsu was
sounds
my,
fantastic.
life's passion. I was 9 years old, started it, and, lived it, loved it, and it still influences the way that I think and what I do today. It was a very profound part of my journey, like you said.
And how does that drive, the same drive you had to be proficient in martial arts, does that carry over into your studies of the phenomenon and the UFO phenomenon?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, jiu-jitsu was the only thing I was really good at, and that's why I gravitated towards it. I wasn't good at other things. And when it comes to investigation and filmmaking, definitely the mental aspects of jiu-jitsu, the warrior mentality, going after something because it could be the truth, that is influenced absolutely by the path of the martial arts. The difference is you slip in the field of filmmaking and you make a mistake, you can edit back over it. In jiu-jitsu, it's usually get knocked out. So that sense of urgency, to get it right the first time and be methodical about it, and inch by inch, yard by yard, that's absolutely comes from jiu-jitsu. I wouldn't have gotten where I got today investigating in the UFO phenomenon if I wasn't patient, I wasn't concise, and I wasn't principled.
Yeah, and it takes a tremendous amount of tenacity to be able to accomplish what you've accomplished. And I think that that's so key in this whole ufology world with, some of the biggest speakers and the people that have the most to say is that they're very consistent. They're very tenacious. They stick with it. And I could thoroughly see how that's making such a huge impact for you. And whether that's intentional or not for you, I think that a lot of people in the UFO community look up to what you're doing and have a huge respect for the care you take in interviewing a lot of people that we all hold so dear. Like for real though, Bob Lazar. Everybody, I think, who is into this topic either knows or should know about Mr. Bob Lazar, which we've covered on several Probecasts, Joe. But Jeremy actually sat down with him and had a conversation. Did you know that?
No.
You didn't, because you watched, what was the one that you were watching?
The interview
with the CIA.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. By the way, anybody listening, we're going to make sure we get all of Jeremy's info out there so that you guys can check out his short films. They're fantastic. And they put in a lot. They pack a lot of punch in a short amount of time.
They do.
So, very informational. So, just as an example, I just want to take a few minutes here and discuss the Bob Lazar Cosmic Whistleblower short film. Now, Jeremy, what made you decide to get in touch and ultimately cover this whole Bob Lazar story? What was your motivation?
Yeah, well, okay, so first of all, I just want to comment what you said before. It's something that I've been noticing in the UFO field. Tenacity is very important, like you brought up, but consistency is not. As we learn new things, we need to evolve our ideas and move forward. If you have somebody saying the same thing over and over, you have to kind of wonder about that.
Right.
Are they evolving in their understanding? Because this subject matter, it does change and it does evolve, and we have to pay attention to that. I think with Bob Lazar, who I've been able to get to know very well over these years, to whatever degree, I would say it was absolutely accidental how I started with Bob Lazar. I mean, I was absolutely on the path looking into this field. I went first to the godfather of conspiracy, as I like to call him, John Lear. And, all paths in ufology kind of go through John in the early days. Mm-hmm. And that's how I first met Bob Lazar, was through John. And, of course, I knew who Bob was. We all know who Bob is if you look into the UFO field, because he is a credible individual who has had an incredible experience. He's, passed multiple polygraph tests. And he has actually told a consistent story in the right way, in that he has basically told you his life experiences, whether you can accept it or we can accept it or not. Bob Lazar is telling the truth. So that was a pretty incredible opportunity to talk with Bob. But those conversations have continued over years.
Oh man, that's amazing. And I know that he's not really active in the UFO community, isn't that right?
Oh yeah, I mean he absolutely 100% tries to stay away from it. You know, the UFO
Right.
subject has done nothing good for Bob Lazar. He literally came out to tell his story as an act of self-protection. It wasn't heroic. It wasn't because he felt the world should know. Although now I think he might be changing his thought process on that. But at the time, it was really to save his own hide. And, you know, I think, 25, almost 30 years later since Bob did that and told about how he worked at a subbase of Area 51
Yeah.
called S4, back engineering alien technology, or attempting to. It was an impossible goal, he said, but attempting to. I think he now sees that, A, he's not going to get his job back, right? And B, that these do raise big questions, and some of which might have disturbing answers. And Bob has put himself on the line and really talked about it now. So there will be more about and coming from Bob in the near future. But in general, he likes to stay away from the UFO topic because it's done nothing but cause heartache for him.
Right. I could see that. I mean, what an incredible story. And I believe him. And I'll tell you, that was the first interview and what I mean the first, I mean the original George Knapp interview. Really blew my mind, and I really believed him. He just didn't sound like somebody that was making it up. It was very clear to me that something very spectacular happened to him, and that's always been so intriguing to me, which is always, which has been leading me and Joe on these crazy adventures, because we don't want to just read about it. We want to see it. We want to touch it. We want to feel it, so.
I admire that. I think that's really important. A lot of people sit back on their computers and they make judgments based upon videos. And really, you do have to go see and meet and experience these people for yourselves. It's one thing to hear Bob Lazar, through the great series of news reports that George Knapp has done. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's another thing to meet him in person and hear that story. And I think, George Knapp, he's my mentor in journalism. He definitely had that experience early on. I mean, it's a shocking story, the Bob Lazar story. But as you got a sense, by watching him talk, you got a sense that he's telling the truth, that he's being genuine. And I can reflect that back to you and tell you, I am certain I no longer have the luxury of disbelief. Bob Lazar is telling the truth. And I know that's hard for people to understand. They don't want to believe it. Some people want to believe it too much. You should have skepticism. And even Bob says, by the scientific standard, I can't prove to you what I'm saying, so you should dismiss me. And if you do dismiss me, pass it on. He doesn't want people to see him as a UFO messiah. He's just reporting the news.
I love that. He's a smart guy. Too smart.
Extremely smart. He's one of the smartest scientists I've ever met. He's actually been very helpful to me on other scientific endeavors.
Oh, how fantastic.
That's cool.
That's like also just kind of talking about some of the other films, like Nanoman is a great example of some of the other kind of things you're looking into. And go ahead and give us like just a short, a short synopsis description of what Nanoman is about, the film that you have on your website.
So Nanoman is an ongoing series of short films that explore these different scientific aspects that a guy that I call Nanoman, his real name is Chris Cooper, looks into. I was first told to go look into his propulsion system from some military intelligence guys that I know that basically said, this guy's doing really interesting stuff with propulsion. You should check it out. And he might be interested in other stuff. So I go out there and I start filming him in Vermont. We go through his Space Drive, which is one of my shorts. It's an atypical propulsion system similar to the M Drive, I imagine. But basically, as I went down the rabbit hole with this, nanophysicist, who I call Nanoman, it became very clear that he got a lot of his inspiration from what we would call the phenomenon or the extraterrestrial issue. Mm-hmm. He's a firm believer that one day humans will be the extraterrestrials. In fact, as my friend Lee Spiegel from the Huffington Post said, we ourselves are living on an exoplanet if you're looking at it from any other way but from Earth.
Right.
So that was the fundamental drive of Nanoman. He knew that there are civilizations who are technologically advanced, who have beat the time-space problem with travel, and he was determined to get as close, and is determined to get as close as he can with material science, with propulsion, and with energy sources. So this series, which you can see, I think, 2 of right now, you'll be able to see little snippets of who Nanoman is, what his goals are, and over the years that I've been filming him, you'll see where all of that culminates as the series unveils.
Oh, I can't wait. I got to tell you, man, the to be continued, they always kill me. You know.
They kill me too. That's life. No, I mean, look, I'm a one-person show. I film, direct, edit, sound, everything for every film I do. People scream at me every day, why don't you do more? Shouldn't this be free? Are you kidding me? I mean, to be able to put my time into this as a singular person, it has been quite an achievement to get all of the work that I do have out. I'm happy to say that very soon, one of my films will be widely distributed, and that's Patient 17.
Ah, man, that's going to be fantastic. Well, and I totally know what you mean from, that respect. Wow, I have not produced any sort of films as you have, but it does take a lot, and I can imagine you by yourself and everything that you do, by the way, which is top of the line, and everything always looks good, sounds good. You can really tell that you are passionate about this subject, and we appreciate that, and we appreciate that especially as like Joe and I, we're just coming into this. We've been doing this since November of last year, and we're just like normal people, and we just want to know more about these extraordinary things, these phenomenon, these UFOs, these are there interdimensional beings? There are so many questions being raised right now in ufology, and a lot of which I think is totally not. I think it's garbage. A lot of it.
Oh, it's absolute bullshit. Yeah, there's so much bullshit out there.
Biggest bullshit right now?
I mean, I could name probably 50 people that are just making things up because they sound cool. Secret space program, blue beings this, I'm in contact with this person and that being. I mean, give me a fucking break. I mean, ultimately, there is truth. There is signal to the noise, but it seems like noise is the new black. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
The self-importance. The self-importance and the false messiahs and everybody that collects a following around this. Look, I'm just reporting the news when I do the work that I do, and you don't need to make this shit up. It is so fantastic. It is so exceptionally bizarre. It is so absolutely sensational as it is. To sensationalize any of it or try to position yourself as this like messiah important person that's briefing governments when you're not, that is absolute bullshit.
My God.
And the deal is, like you said, you're just 2 normal guys and you're interested in this and you're brothers and you're kind of going on this path. So here's the deal, man. The seeker is the finder. The more you go into this subject, the better you're going to get at reading bullshit.
Yeah.
And the more skeptical minded you can be, then the more you'll be able to look into it and be able to kind of separate the wheat from the chaff, is what George Knapp likes to say. Is to find the truth, to part the seas of bullshit, which there is mostly of, and find the truth. And usually it's not people, who are proclaiming to be these very important people reincarnated as these alien whistleblowers. I mean, I don't fucking know. People are crazy.
Right.
The truth is there.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say I'm gonna use the F word. I'm so fucking happy to hear you say that. It seems as though we're on the same page here because coming right into this, we were going down kind of those, what would you call them, messiah, or we call them, the information keeper, the
right.
person that's supposed to be the knowledge holder. And we went through quite a few of those sorts of in and out of those kind of, I guess you could say, online communities or whatnot, until we were just stepping back going,
Their dicks are in their peanut butter and they're fucking nuts.
They're fucking crazy, and they're all contradicting themselves, but they all sit on the same stage, and it's very much like you said. It's these big followings, which I gotta ask you: how do you feel about talking about names? Ooh,
I love names.
Like, have you heard this name called Stephen Greer?
You know.
We
Sure.
We feel very unacknowledged.
Oh, do you? Oh, I am so sorry. I'm sure if you pay enough money, you can feel acknowledged.
We tried. We really did. We went to the premiere, and we were so unacknowledged. But I have a signed book I gave him $50 for. It's fantastic.
Cool. Look, it's funny. It's really not the people. It's more like, even if the messenger dies, even if you realize it's a false prophet, you realize that this person
right.
is not what they say they are. Is there truth in the information? And so you can have the most ridiculous person who's bringing information forward, and that information could be valuable. So you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yes.
But essentially, I do not, feel passionate about people that just, over-exaggerate who they are and their position to make themselves seem more powerful. I mean, that's a jiu-jitsu trick. And then, 2 is people that just make things up, which you wouldn't – I mean, people are fucking crazy. They just make shit up because it sells tickets and they get their face on some television show.
Yeah.
They're talking puppets.
Yep.
So essentially, you got to be the judge of that. I can tell you who I think is legit or not legit, and honestly, it's up to you anyway. I will tell you one person to look out for, being new to this. I think a lot of people are going to miss this. Jacques Vallée will be speaking at Contact in the Desert. Jacques Vallée is probably one of the most important voices in the discussing ufology and the whole phenomenon for the last 50 years. The guy is a French scientist who was, like, for example, in the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Spielberg movie, he modeled that French scientist in that movie after Jacques Vallée. Jacques Vallée has been deeply embedded with government agencies studying this phenomenon for decades. So someone like that, who's coming out of the woodwork for Contact in the Desert. Now, mind you, he hasn't spoken in many years on this subject. I mean, we're decades, really, he's kept quiet. He's written some books, many books, but to have him speaking at Contact in the Desert, that's the kind of person you should go see. All these new age people coming out and saying that they're seeing this and doing that. Don't dismiss them all, but make sure to catch someone like Jacques Vallée while you can.
That's, I just want to piggyback on what you're saying, because we've kind of covered this same sort of topic at the past, actually I say recently in our Probecast, just which is, I feel as though any theory or story that is so wrapped around an individual is something you got to watch out for. And, there's a number of these kind of personalities, and they have these amazing stories, and they go to Antarctica and, blue bubbles, and the whole entire premise of their story is just is all wrapped around them, and rather than presenting information for people to gather. And I say for people, like, go to these events. Don't let somebody like Corey Good or, I guess you could say a hotly debated sort of personality. You should go and you should listen and you should pick from that what makes sense to you. Don't go to it like, this is the person that's got all the information. This is the person I must learn from. And if I'm not doing XYZ and it's just starts turning into religion. So be careful.
Right.
Don't go. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, my thoughts are absolutely mirrored to yours. You're just saying it for me. And I absolutely agree. It's very important, this subject matter, and it's important to go and to experience, these people that are talking and giving information, but essentially it is your job. I mean, this is, again, what George Knapp likes to say. It's our job to investigate the unexplained, not explain the uninvestigated. So when you look at someone who's telling you information, put out your hand and say, show me the proof. If you can't validate something like basic military credentials from somebody, and they're claiming to have worked within a secret program within the military, well, that's a little suspect. And there are forms that everybody signs when they leave certain military positions, and you can find those discharge forms. So, for example, like in the Anonymous film, in the short, now I can and will never be able to prove that he was actually CIA working in capacity for the real Project Blue Book like he claims.
Is he still
But what
alive?
I could confirm is that he was in the military. He did have proper discharge papers. He had literally no reason to speak with us that day. In fact, his wife didn't want him to, even in his old age and the fact he was dying. And she didn't want him to because she believed what he saw was not an alien, but was a demon. And so her religious beliefs were compelling him not to talk to us. So you've got people with a lot to lose, nothing to gain, and they're on their deathbed, and they want to talk to a film crew, and they don't even want their face shown. It was this big argument, not argument, but I persuaded him that it has a lot more power if we can show his face, never giving away his real name. He is deceased now, but his testimony stands. So my point is, make sure to try and validate the basic claims from people. If they say they're a doctor, see if you can find out if they are a doctor. Mm-hmm. If they say that they've worked in the military, try to see if they've worked in the military. So, but yes, I agree with you. Go to things like Contact in the Desert. Just keep your mind open, but don't let your brains fall out.
There you go, man. And I think sometimes people can get wrapped up in that, feeling it's one way or the other, which is, I better believe it all, or, why would I go to that event? I'm not crazy like that. Or, there's multiple kinds of views people could take on it, but ultimately, who cares? Go there, get the information. Don't let it be the death or of your further investigation if you get some crappy information. This is the way I think about it. We all pay for education. We all do it. Okay? Sometimes you get a professor that is not very good and is not teaching correctly and is giving you the incorrect science, etc. Well, it's up to us, I think, as Jeremy has said, to really pick the pieces that make sense for us and, and then further investigate those things.
Yeah, and look, ask for evidence. That's the whole thing. Don't just accept things. Ask for evidence. Now, this whole community of people that talks about these things, there are a lot of great people, and there's a lot of truth, and there's a lot of hardworking investigation, and it is in our hands. It's in the average person's hands to shine a light on this very important subject, because our military and our government has taken a complete, disinformation hands-off approach. They've created obstacles for you to engage this topic, starting with the FBI trying to quote-unquote demystify the UFO experience, because the belief in UFOs is as dangerous to national security as UFOs themselves. So there's a big obstacle in anybody's way to begin with. There used to be the laugh factor, the idea that, we are the only people, in this universe. Now that's changing. And now science is catching up, and now essentially people are more open-minded. So take that opportunity, like threading a needle, take that opportunity and make sure to look into this. It's a great time to be involved in this subject matter because we're learning new things every day.
Yeah. And you know what? It's going to cost you, Unless you sit at home on YouTube and read the same shit on Google over and over again, you're going to have to pay for people's information. It sucks, but that's what it is. And that is important to the people that are producing the information and getting the information out there. I think people should be paid for their work. And if you pay for it and it sucks, that's just how it goes. But take something from it. Ancient Aliens is kind of a good example of a show that, doesn't bother me, but I'm not super have to, watch every episode. But I will at times get a piece of something and go, that's, I need to research that piece or portion or whatever it is they're talking about. And then that leads into other things, into other things, into other things. And I think that that's just a really smart way of approaching the topic, the speakers, the leaders, people that hold, you could say that, what is it? The father of ufology. That's where the Yeah, sorry. I got
no,
off track
absolutely.
there.
I mean, just
$50.
yeah, no, absolutely. Look, I mean, you always have the option, for example, of not buying one of my films. Cool, don't buy it. If you're interested in it and you want to see what this is about, then you purchase the film. Whether you like it or you don't like it, it does help me to continue what I'm doing. But things like this, when you go to an event, there's a lot of education going on surrounding the speakers. It's the people too. I mean, everybody's there for a reason. A lot of people come there because they've had an experience, because they're looking for answers. I mean, I just had a police officer of 27 years call me up, never told anybody but his wife about his UFO experience, and he drew it out, wrote me a handwritten letter, and it's not about getting his name out. It's just compelling, personal, firsthand testimony. He's not seeking fame. He's not seeking money, nothing like that. So essentially, when you go to these things, your greatest resource is not the speakers on the stage, right? Like, I'll be one of the speakers on the stage. I'm not your greatest resource. Your greatest resource will be each other, because everybody has come to that event because they're curious. As I like to say, their curiosity has been weaponized to the point where instead of just being curious, they actually went out to try to see and seek answers. And so you see a lot of that at conventions like Contact in the Desert, which will be coming up pretty soon. And the sad part is there's always people that prey upon those experiences of other people for their own personal gain. You have kind of predators everywhere. So it's funny when I go to these things and people will come up to me and say, I had X, Y, and Z experience. Who should I go talk with? I say, run away. Run away as fast as you can. Leave. Document, write down your experience. Don't let it be tarnished by anybody here who wants to impose their own ideas.
Oh,
And then if you want to share it with me after, but don't go talk with people. They will fill your heads with nonsense. There are a few people that I would say you could trust, but first thing you should do is catalog your experiences raw on your own. And then to someone like me, you can submit that.
Brilliant.
You can send that to me. Yeah, people do every day. And then, either A, they don't want their story told, or B, they don't mind if they get answers. And then if it's something that I feel like I can learn more about and help them, then I will. If it's beyond my scope of understanding, which is often what I say when it's batshit crazy, then I'll just be like, sorry, I can't help you. But the people that do come that are legitimately, had an experience they want more answers on, that is where I've been most effective in working kind of below the radar with people that want to learn more about what they saw.
That's fantastic advice. So, you know what that means, Joe? We should just probecast the moment we have our experience. You see? We just have to be cast ready. You see? I want to ask you, Jeremy, have you had any paranormal or, UFO sort of experiences?
Yeah, well, first of all, let's make sure we're talking about the same thing. So it is my understanding, or my current understanding, and I reserve the right to change my opinion at any time depending on what information that I have that might be new. But at this time, it is my understanding the UFO phenomenon is part of a much larger phenomenon.
Yes.
That it's possible that things like ghost experiences, psychic experiences, remote viewing, even the paranormal, like Skinwalker Ranch, that all of these things are interconnected in some way.
Brilliant.
So when we say ufology or UFOs, we're really talking about the phenomenon. The phenomenon expresses itself as UFOs in my best articulation of it at this point. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the reality. It means that's what we're seeing and experiencing. But my understanding of it is quite different now. I mean, my talk is UFOs, A Clockwork Orange. So that should give you an idea of that famous Stanley Kubrick film, a book by Anthony Burgess, about something that is mechanistic or robotic by nature, like an artificial intelligence that appears to be conscious and intelligent.
So have you had an experience?
Right. So now that we understand that we're talking about the same thing, yeah, I'd say in some ways I've had a variety of experiences. I've had the, precognition, which is that weird thing like right before a car accident. I've had the remote viewing experience. Well, how did I know that? That's not through typical sources and means. Now, I've never seen a shiny disc flying saucer or a fucking mothership. But you know what? I would tell the truth if I did. I really would love to see it.
I know.
Never seen it. But have I sure as shit seen a lot of lights in the sky that do some crazy things that are totally atypical of known propulsion? But I've never been contacted. I don't have the key or the source or the knowledge. I'm just, investigative filmmaker that's looking into this. So,
Right.
No, I haven't had a proper UFO experience.
Well, hopefully when we have ours and you have yours, we can compare notes. So we're down here to just a few minutes left, and I got to ask you a question, Jeremy. It's very important to me. So, but if I could just have everybody just quiet. So, Jeremy, I want you to go back in time to sitting next to Bob Lazar, and you're sitting there. You lean over to say something into his ear. What does he smell like? That's an important. I want to know. Like, I would like to know what Michael Jackson smelled like. Like
I don't know, man. I think sometimes we're smelling ourselves. You know what I mean?
Maybe I just think of things weird, but can you imagine you're there? And I say that because, you know what? Scents do ingrain memories in our heads. So that's why I asked you.
That's absolutely true. It's actually the sense that is most prominent for ingraining memories in our head. Memories can be, recalled from smell a lot better than any other thing. But yeah, I'd have to say, really existentially, you're probably just smelling yourself, dude.
Damn it. I'm thinking, you smell Bob Lazar, and then, a couple years later you walk into Walmart and there's a weird smell and you're like, oh my God, I'm thinking of Bob Lazar.
There has been every product made on this planet because of Bob Lazar. We would not know the name Area 51 if it wasn't for Bob Lazar. So you have blow-up alien dolls, you have coasters, you have beer mugs, you have shot glasses, you even have a UFO themed brothel, which I think is really important for you guys to go on that journey to explore exactly what type of interspecies erotica is going on there in Nevada. So every kind of product has been made because of Bob Lazar. You're talking about a cologne?
There we go.
I'm telling you, the Panther, that thing, the UFO Panther, that thing should have been out a long time ago. Somebody's already going to do it because they've always monetized Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar has never monetized his story.
I know that. And, I respect that. I think he's so about this story, and I think you are too, man. And I think your work speaks for itself. You really have a passion, and thank you for being on our silly probecast. We've really had a great time chatting with you today, Jeremy.
Yeah, man.
For sure. No, I appreciate you guys. I really look forward to seeing how your show evolves. Don't be consistent. Change and evolve as you go through this and you begin to learn more and more, because the seeker is the finder, and it is actual statistical probability that the more you look to see UFOs, the more likely you're looking up and will see one. So I encourage you on your journey. I can't wait to see where you are in a year or a year plus from now. And again, remember, humor is a way to shed light on uncomfortable ideas. So I'm really happy you guys are doing this, and continue it, and I'll see you on the next time.
Sounds great, man. We'll say hi to
Thanks,
you
man.
at Contact in the Desert. Thanks for being part of the
Hang
show.
out.
Okay, guys, you take care. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ooh, well, that was so much fun, Joe. What do you think? Wasn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Man, he is on the same page, and it's too bad AJ wasn't on tonight, because I think AJ would agree.
Great.
But Alien on board, thank you. Thank you, Brianna. Thank you, Carla.
Everybody.
Thank you to the others that have joined via Twitter messaging or Instagram inboxing. We are at UFO Bros TV on all things social media, and UF0 Bros TV on Twitter. You can get all the information about Jeremy Corbell at extraordinarybeliefs.com. I highly recommend that you go check out his stuff.
Or we can put a link in the YouTube.
Yes, we will put a link in the YouTube.
Your YouTube link.
But it's Extraordinary Beliefs. And I am so grateful for Jeremy's brain today. Thank you, everybody. I'm Emmett.
Joe.
And we are the UFO
Zero
Bros.
Bros.
Thanks, guys.